Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Hey everybody, it's me. Welcome to I Want to Talk. This week I got to do another interview. I wish I could do more of those. It's just situation, like availability, my availability more than anything. That said, I'm going to be interviewing. I'm not interviewing. It's a conversation with Danny Koker from the Counts Customs, the show Counting Cars. Great guy, great friend, interesting person. I think you're going to enjoy that. But of course, you know, when my guests walk in, I just sort of dive in. I don't want them to sit through me doing the show setup. So let me just remind you that, I'm trying to remind you, I've got stuff right here. If you want to reach out to the show, you can leave a voicemail at 929-356-5369, 929-356-5369, and my show producer, Brian, will forward any good questions or comments to me. And he knows that it doesn't necessarily have to be like kissing my ass. Just I'll accept anything presented intelligently and, even if it's something challenging me. Okay. You can also email the show at iwannatalkpodcast@gmail.com. iwannatalkpodcast@gmail.com. And I'm pushing you guys to subscribe to the show. If you've been tuning in, if you've been checking it out, I'll ask you, please consider subscribing to keep the show going on the air. I've got to build my subscription base. And to sign up, go to gasdigitalnetwork.com and use the promo code D, D-E-E, I think it's all caps, when you check out. You get a 14-day free trial, and if you decide to keep your membership, you save $1, so it's just $7 a month. All right? So for $6 or $7 a month, a Gas Digital member gets on-demand HD video for every show on the network, not just mine, including Jamie Josta, The Josta Show, Legion of Skanks, House of Hardcore, with ECW legend Tommy Dreamer, and Believe You Me, with UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping. There's live HD video with live chat. I don't know what that is, but it's available. Audio and video archives, that's cool. Message boards, and you get pre-released content before you can get episodes anywhere else. So the shows are available, I think, on Wednesday to subscribers, and it doesn't hit like, iTunes and such until Monday, the following Monday. So use promo code D, D-E-E, and get a 14-day free trial and save 15% a month on monthly membership. See, $6 a month after discount. So it's even cheaper. That's gasdigitalnetwork.com. Use promo code D for free trial. I've been doing voiceover all day. I voice a show called Breaking the Band. It's on the Reel channel, Reels. And pretty cool show. It's about band breakups. And so we did the first season, only had like 6 episodes. We got picked up for another 6, and people seem to enjoy it. So I'm the voice of that show. So if you're watching, you go, hey, that voice sounds familiar. Well, it's yours truly. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this week's show with Danny Koker from Counting Cars, from Counts Customs, and the show Counting Cars. Check it out and share it.
What do you want to do with your life?
I want to talk. Hey, welcome to I Want to Talk. I'm here with a great friend, personality. I'm going to use a word, and he's going to turn around because he's so gracious. He's going to go, oh, but no, you're the legend. A legend. You are. Yeah, you can officially say that. You can officially say that. Danny Koker, from Counting Cars and Counts Customs.
Hey, man, thank you, D. Thank you. You're way too kind. Way too kind. That's the legend. I'm just a lucky guy who's hanging out with D today.
Well, we're going to get into how lucky you are, because I don't think... No, because one of the things I like to share with people is motivation, inspiration, and the greats make it look easy, but it's never that easy. And I know I've been hearing your name long before the show in town.
Man, we do go back.
Yeah.
We do go back.
Well, I didn't even met you, but I heard about you.
Yep.
And your
At bike
rep,
shows.
yeah,
Different
and your
motorcycle
rep,
shows.
and your bikes were everywhere. But your reputation, people were talking about your work, and you just seem to be doing. So we're in. This is just a conversation.
Amen.
You just seem to be doing the right things. Getting your motorcycles in the right places. I'd see them at the Hard Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting them the right people. And maybe I'm not saying not that you were getting them necessarily, but maybe people were coming to you. Your work is your reputation.
Yes.
But I remember you did the Motley Crue bikes for the guys.
Yes.
I think you did. Did you actually give them the bikes?
That was I would say you could technically call it that, but there was a whole lot of 10th Street Entertainment, who is the company that handles Motley. There was a whole lot of business and promotional purposes behind that.
Right.
Which worked out fantastic. And ironically enough, 3 out of 4 of them, really ride. Vince rides, Nikki rides, and Tommy really rides. And
I hear that Mick Mars rides are rigid.
Well,
I'm kidding. That's said with love.
Exactly.
Of course, he doesn't ride. Everybody knows his back problems.
Right.
So.
Well, Tommy still rides all the time. He still has that bike. He rides it all the time. That bike was in a horrible accident. I don't know if you saw this, but he was out riding with a buddy of his who was a sport bike guy. And Tommy's on his long chop that we built for him.
Right.
The sport bike guy, who's a friend of Tommy, says, I want to try that. So they swap bikes for a period of time on, A1A there in Southern Cal.
Long bike's a very different ride.
They're very different.
And so is a sport bike. If you're not used to riding
different
that.
ride.
Yeah.
Tragically, as I'm understood here, the light was changing. The gentleman on Tommy's chop stopped, and the car behind him did not.
Oh,
The guy behind him was messing on his cell phone, which knocked that off, man. For somebody who rides a motorcycle and or drives really, wonderful cars, put your phone down. So this cat rear-ended the guy, ran over the bike. It was ugly. The guy was in the hospital for a while. Thank God the gentleman is fine. But
Wow.
Tommy called me and said, I think the bike is done. And I'm like, the bike is never done. Is the neck still there? Are the numbers still there?
I've often said, how many motorcycle junkyards have you seen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Motorcycles, cars go to junkyards. Motorcycles just are repurposed.
Right, done.
To any bike. You virtually never see a bike like brought to a junkyard.
We took the bike back from him. We rebuilt it front to back as it was. And he's back in the wind. So yeah, we did the bike for those guys, and it was wonderful. I've done a lot of bikes for a lot of cool people, and then been doing cars in the background, and then some of the cars got noticed, and the whole thing just kind of spawned.
So now you've gone from bikes to cars.
Well, yeah, I mean, cars have always been
Predominantly,
there.
because
They've
when I
just
look
never
around
been in the
here,
forefront.
you've got bikes, but it seems more cars. But then again, cars take up
It's a
4
bigger
bikes.
market.
Yeah,
Right. Well, like I said, I've always done cars, but they weren't in the foreground. The bikes were in the foreground. The bike shows where we knew each other from 100 years ago was in the foreground. Now, the cars, it's a bigger audience. There's more people drive cars than ride bikes.
Well, before I get to the show, and again, how you got to, because I don't know any of these. We've known each other a while now. I don't know any of the stories behind
this is
the stories.
Fun, by the way, this is a lot of fun.
But
I don't get to do this with Dee.
By the way, if you're enjoying the smoke effect in here, we've spent a lot of money to give you that. They call it haze, and we spent quite a few dollars. I arrive here, the stench of burning rubber everywhere because Danny has just smoked the tires on this vehicle.
Huge burnout,
and which will be televised.
It will be. It will be. You will see it. My old truck. Huge burnout. The gentlemen from Hell Yeah are rehearsing in my studio, and to say hello to them properly, I roasted the tires off of the back of this truck. Cooper Copers, by the way.
So, all right. So I was complimenting Danny before, and I said, I'm going to hold this story because, look, when you do shows when you have sponsors, you've got to plug the sponsors.
Right.
But most people do it, and it's very awkward. And they go, "Oh, and by the way, our tires come from Cooper, who make the best product." And it's very forced, and you're aware of it. But I complimented Danny on the fact that he's able to. He just conversationally just sprinkles in all of the sponsors when he's talking about the car, and it's not offensive.
No.
And you're hearing. I mean, I know I'm hearing where the rims are from, but at the same time, I don't mind it because it's not offensive to me because you haven't just stuck it in my face.
Well, like I was telling you, the reason being is because I work with people that I actually truly believe in. So it's the products that I actually really use. So for me, it's easy to say on the show, I use this particular air conditioning unit, or I use these particular tires, or I use
Sugar Bear front ends,
right?
Sugar
because
Bear front
I actually really use them.
Yeah.
So I don't do sponsorship deals with companies that I actually don't believe in.
Well,
and I know that's rare in today's world.
No, I agree. See, I'm on the same page with you.
It's the truth.
I'm on the same page with you, but I will go to great lengths to find a reason to believe in a sponsor.
Right.
Case in point. Case in point.
Putting your name on it.
Right, but so case in point, we got a 6-figure offer for we're not going to take it for a woman's premenopausal medication. Initially, I was taken aback. I just want you to know I was mortified, and until they told me how much money it was. Then I said, "Well, what does it do?" And they ran through and they said, well, and they're running through a grocery list of things. And then they said, and it stops vaginal dryness. I said, stop right there. I am against vaginal dryness.
So you took the deal?
Took the deal. I'm doing God's work as far as I'm concerned. I mean, a product that stops. Come on. All right. If you're out there, show me one person out there who isn't against vaginal dryness. I'll call you a liar. Or I'll call you a young woman who needs to wait a few years until dust is shooting out of your hooter. And then you'll friggin' be begging for this shit. You're welcome. You're welcome.
When Dee called me and said, "Hey, man, should we do this today?" I had no idea we'd be wandering down this path.
Sure. So the point is,
we're not going to take it.
If you pay me enough, I will find a reason to like your product. Like example, I don't drink.
Right.
I don't drink.
Right.
That doesn't mean I wouldn't drink for the right amount of money. So I'm waiting for a big company to say, hey, and this will be the end. It'll be like, I'm Dee Snider. I haven't drank until I discovered Johnson's brandy. Finally, a drink.
Why does it have to be Johnson's, by the way? Let me ask you another question. If someone was going to get you to drink for them,
yes,
which product do you think it might be?
Well,
because this could be huge. If Dee Snider ever takes a drink, we know it's being sponsored. Who would it be? Who would have the best shot with you?
Look, if I'm going to start drinking for money, it could be some liqueur. It could be some fancy dancy, one of those. One of those.
Just straight up Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels.
Absolutely.
Well, now I can't say that. They're going to think they have to offer me the right money.
Oh, really?
I can't say.
They did not.
I'd only do it for Jack Daniels.
They did not.
No.
I'll do it for the right money.
So, and of course I drink responsibly, but I'm not saying I would become an alcoholic for a paycheck. I'm saying that I'd be willing to drink,
right?
On a regular basis,
right? And sponsor the product,
and just think of the advertising. Think it's like, hey, I'm Dee Snider. I haven't drank until now because I finally found
because Danny Koker was a bad influence
for the right. Yes, for the right. I haven't tasted the right liquor.
Right
now, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm very good. Okay,
how's your Tesla?
So many people come up to me and say, I saw you on Porn Stars. No, I'm kidding. One guy did, though. He said, bet you hear that all the time. I said,
man,
absolutely not. I never hear of the Porn Stars. No, they know your show.
All right, good.
But the shock to see that it's my daily driver.
Right. Well, you meant it. That is your daily driver.
Yeah, and because it's so beautiful, and any kind of custom car, people can't imagine you actually driving it.
Yeah.
And it is the car I drive.
It is beautiful.
And it just, you made it sexy, you made it beautiful.
It's parked out front.
It's
right
fast
now.
as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's just it's seat 7 with the jump seat, and you can pretty much blow almost anything off the road.
Agreed.
With your grandkids strapped in the back.
Agreed.
Which is
Agreed.
Go faster, Potty. They call me
yours
Potty.
Looks so much sexier than any other one on the road.
It did make a list of the hottest Teslas.
Did it really?
Yeah. Somebody posted a list, and it was just some paint jobs,
Right.
And it was number 2. Will I Am has a total custom body work, it looks like a spaceship. It doesn't even look like the original car. He totally he did a whole Bondo job on it.
Changed it all together.
Yeah, but it made the list. And although I have seen chat rooms where people, this is weird.
Okay.
I wonder if you do get this with cars in general, where people are talking have you seen what Dee Snider did to his Tesla?
Oh God!
It's just awful.
Right.
He's completely abused it.
Who you're talking to is the purists.
And by the way, that's a beautiful. That's like Bugatti paint job.
Right.
That's
car
Rolls,
is
the
so
two-tone
beautiful.
Rolls Royce. That's beautiful,
And they
classy.
haven't seen it in person.
It's classy.
They're
It's
looking
not,
at pictures. Number one, and number two, they're purists. There's a group of people out there, and y'all are wonderful. Purists are fantastic because when it comes time for correct concourse restoration, if it wasn't for the purists, we'd be lost. So I respect that, but
so do I.
Purists are very close-minded on the fact that if it's not 100% Tesla accurate, they're going to lose their mind.
But this is a new car. It's not a
customized.
It's not a classic car.
But there's still purists out there.
Yeah, so you get this because you do a lot
I get it all the time, man. One of my favorite things to do is cut up a car. I love to customize a car.
All right, question for you, and I'm not going to name names. We're not going to get into finger pointing on any other TV shows or anything like that.
Okay.
Because I'm a car guy.
Well, I don't watch TV, so it's
but some people have taken it on the chin for taking a collectible,
yes,
and putting a saw to it.
Yes.
And would you do the same, or do you?
I've actually turned that down a couple of times. And it's tough for a guy like me because I am a custom guy, so I love to customize things. But there have been occasions where vehicles have come through my shop that are significant in the collector world. They're very. They should be kept original.
Yeah.
And so
that's where I see the purism come in, when you've got to
down customizing things that should not be touched. And that's a tough thing for me because I'd love to cut up anything, but
there's plenty of stock.
I respect automotive history.
Yeah.
And so if things are significant in that respect, I don't want to cut it up.
Right. So I drove a '69 Boss 302 Mustang for years.
What a great car.
Yeah. I got it as a basket case and struck oil. Oh yeah, it's one of the 10 rarest Mustangs.
Absolutely.
And then I had it completely restored.
Yeah.
And I drove it for a long time.
Yeah.
But say someone rolled in with a mint, restored or whatever, '69 Boss 302 Mustang and said, "Hey man, I want to go total custom on this."
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. That car needs to be read the VIN number, find the build sheet, and make it exactly as it was when it came out of the box. Please, you just have to.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. So again, the story behind the story, the story behind a man, and I discover that what we go through, what I went through, what you went through, there's so many similar beats, and this goes for people in the business world if they're building a plumbing business out there, and that's not degrading the plumbers. I'm saying you'll find there's this commonality of the struggle or what it takes. There's a book. If you heard about the book about the theory of 10,000 hours.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
no, I'm lost.
Okay, well,
okay.
Somebody put a book out, but there is actually not just a theory. It's been proven out that it takes 10,000 hours to master any craft. 10,000 hours.
Is that it?
And they went, yeah.
Because I feel like I've blown past that and I'm still trying.
Well, but it doesn't mean you keep getting better.
Right.
But they did, a book came out about it where they went from musicians, great musicians, to great athletes, to great mechanics, to great writers, to great singers, to great songwriters, that when they did the math, almost to a man or woman, it came out to 10,000 hours of time put in practicing that three-point shot, and that if you are willing to put in the time, you can master anything. Now, mind you,
that's a cool stat to know.
Certain people have a natural ability that goes beyond,
so they can excel fast.
Right, and they excel not just fast, but they've got a certain art to it. But 10,000 hours.
Fast accelerator, by the way.
But I think about that as well. Like I've been writing. I've been doing radio for a long time.
Yeah, but how old were you when, seriously, the first real hit?
Okay, I did the friggin' math. I got my first band in 1964. Now, we weren't playing clubs. It was just...
How old were you?
I was 9 years old. Now, we were just
Really?
a guitar and... I mean, it was... We were shit. I mean, we never played out, but it was just, here's it starts.
Okay.
And we're copying Beatles songs.
Okay.
And we're trying to play, and eventually I quit the guitar because I can't get that shit. So I'm singing. But I do the math, and Twisted broke in 1984.
Oh my gosh, 20 years.
20 years.
So how many hours?
You know, I don't know if I could do the math, but
Right.
it wasn't, when I started, it wasn't all the time. But then as I got older and older, it became my obsession.
What
and it
happened
became
to
all
you
I
when
did.
that hit? When that first hit, what happened to Dee Snider inside? Did you go, oh my gosh, what was the feeling? I'm curious, man, because I don't know what that feels like.
Well,
I want
I
to know
got
what
it.
that feels like.
Of course, there was a great deal of pleasure. Unfortunately, for Twisted Sister, and it's well documented in the documentary "We Are Twisted Fucking Sister," the band had been together for 10 years. 10 years.
Right.
I was in the band 8. JJ French was in the band for 10 years, night after night, playing demo after demo after demo. So we had already played theaters on our own dime. We'd already been in arenas. We had recorded Electric Lady Studios with Eddie Kramer, who worked on all of Jimi Hendrix's albums. So we had been, and we hadn't had a hit.
Right.
So by the time we hit, it was like been there, done that, and it's about fucking time.
Okay.
Okay, there was that part of it as well.
Right.
It was a bit we were like, and I remember, well,
How
now
did it
we
change
just
your
flipped
life?
the interview on me, but that's
Exactly.
good.
How did it
But I
change
don't
your
mind
life?
that.
Because I want to know. I want to know.
But I want to tell you one thing.
I'm a car guy. I'm a bike guy. I'm a music guy. I want to know a little bit. I want to know more about
I
Dee
had
Snider.
I had a conversation with Kevin Dubrow at one point, and Quiet
God
Riot.
bless Kevin, by the way.
Yes, was the late Kevin Dubrow was one of those. Quiet Riot was one of those bands like Twisted. They were on the West Coast,
Yeah.
slogging it out year after year after year after year. And so Kevin and I had dinner one night, and he says, "Don't you hate those bands who?" They're together 2 years and they put an album out and they have a hit and they're on tour. Don't you fucking hate those guys? And you know what I said to him? I said, no.
Yeah.
And he goes, why not? I said, Kevin, I wouldn't wish what I've been through on my worst enemy. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I said, it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a dream come true.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be you just pounding into the ground,
Yeah.
struggling, fighting until you finally just claw your way out of the fucking gutter
Yeah.
and you break through.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to sound bitter, but so much of the joy because it was taken from it. Because I thought when I joined, I was like, we're going to form Twisted Sister and we're going to have a record deal. And it took year after year after year. So there was part of that. Now
the life changed, though.
Now the life changed and the joy, and I'll tell you, man, the moment when I knew we had arrived. So we released, oh, by the way.
that's what I want
By
to
the
know.
way,
Yeah.
35 years of today, Stay Hungry was released. Coincidentally.
kidding me?
Yeah, today's the 35th anniversary.
Congrats.
Oh, yes.
That's huge.
So it's released.
I love the picture, by the way.
The picture?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Great shot.
it's released, but it takes a while for the record to get into stores. So we go over to Europe, and we're touring Europe because Europe you can immediately get out there on the road. And we had already broken out in Europe. So we're on tour in Europe, and we're hearing that it's reacting well. We're starting to see sales, and we're hearing radio stations, but you're hearing it, you're thousands of miles away. It's not like, it's not really connecting because there's no social media. So I come home.
It's a different era.
Yes.
Different time.
I come home from the road, and and Suzette, of course, the great Suzette, my wife, who you guys have seen. I've interviewed her
She
on
rocks.
here. She rocks, but she has kept my feet on the ground. No matter how much I've tried to float away, she has whatever. And so, like, I come in, and things were going great. We had bought our first house, small house, but I'm feeling pretty good. And I come home, I go, babe, I'm back. She goes, oh, get some milk. We don't need milk. I'm like, what? She goes, go out and get some milk.
Yeah. Hey, rock star, go shopping.
Yeah,
Right.
she sent me to Home Depot today. She's always, and I'm in there. See, what are you doing here? I said, I'm picking up supplies for Suzette. But anyway,
That's awesome.
But she's always kept my feet on the ground as
Yes.
best she could.
Yes.
So I get in the car, and we haven't even, I think we've got a beater car still at that point. And I turn on the radio station, and We're Not Going to Take It's playing.
Oh, wow.
And I go, oh, that's pretty cool.
Wow, yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
I wonder what's playing on the other rock station.
Right.
So I hit the button. We're Not Going to Take It's playing. So I'm going to go for the trifecta.
Right,
There was
right.
one more rock station in town.
Right.
And these was like the Long Island ones. I hit New York City one. We're not going to take its playing. All 3 stations at the same time, and I just go, we have arrived.
Yeah,
like,
you know it.
That's when like the truth. And then, of course, after that, Twisted Mania started.
All the hard
Couldn't
work
go
all
anywhere.
pays off.
Oh, yeah, it all started. But it was much bigger than I ever expected to be, because with MTV, there was this visual, everybody knew who you were.
Right.
Not just the fans, all
Right.
the mainstream people, just moms and dads
Right.
saw your freaking face, your mug. So
How do
everybody knew
feel-
you.
How do you feel when you go out on stage? When you go out on stage and you start rocking a show and you look around that crowd, that huge crowd that's going berserk, and you see those fans that have loved you forever, and you connect with that on stage for just a moment, man. What's that like for you? 'Cause still to this day, I know you connect with. I know you.
Yeah, well, that's a thing, to somehow with no matter how big
For
the
them,
audience
it's your
is,
daily- for
they
you, it's
feel
your life.
Yeah,
But for them, they're having a moment
They
right
feel
now.
it. It's joyous. I have trouble. The righteous anger I used to carry with me. It's barely exists anymore. How can I be?
Right.
I'm successful. I'm beloved, and even the audience is like smiling. My favorite thing is to see parents with their kids, their teenage kids, and I'm out there rocking,
Yeah.
and excuse me, I don't disappoint, and I see fathers elbowing sons and going
Yeah.
like this, and I know they're going, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's rock and roll. And then
Right.
I see the kids like, I hear, see the kids throwing the horns, and that's the best thing when I see it's generational that they're sharing this experience.
Yes.
It's pretty freaking cool.
But that's a lot. That's a credit to the longevity of your career, that it's crossing multi generations.
Yeah. Well, it's yes, I guess so. And
absolutely.
and now with the new record, I'm seeing more and more younger people in the crowd. Like when I
Yeah.
see the Spotify, it's like 18 to 58.
They're learning.
I mean, so people are getting turned on to my new music, which is cool. But speaking of music, that I just serve back to you. So
That was
music,
like a Jedi mind thing.
yeah, music is like you're the car guy.
Yes, sir.
But you are constantly out on the road playing shows,
Yes, sir.
doing shows.
Yeah.
What's your first love, music or cars?
That is the greatest question to ever be asked of me. I can tell you something about my life in order. The first thing in my life was music. The second thing in my life was motorcycles. The third thing in my life was cars. I find myself at a point in my life where I'm so blessed that I get to be involved in music, motorcycles, and cars. So I'm
How
fortunate.
cool is this guy's life?
It's
Yeah.
it's a blessing.
And you really
a half.
are. How many dates a year you do? Seems like you're always
A lot.
out there playing.
A lot. I wish I had better accurate numbers than a lot. That's
Okay.
That's kind of a lame
But
answer,
enough that- are you
like even
married?
Like
Are you
tomorrow.
married?
Yeah, and she still puts up with my crap.
I'm just saying enough that the wife's going.
Yeah.
You leaving again?
Yeah, where you been? Well, I leave in the morning. I'm out of here in the morning. I'm going to Salt Lake City. We're playing the Royal. Have you been to the Royal in Salt Lake?
I don't think so.
There's a big rock club up there called the Royal. So we're playing there tomorrow.
And
night.
what is it Danny Koker or is it Danny Koker and the Mad Dogs or what?
The band is called Count 77.
Okay. Count
The shirt
77.
today. Count 77. We're a 70s hard rock band, and when I say we're a 70s hard rock band, in our live show, you'll get some of the big 70s stuff that you just love, and not necessarily your mainstream stuff, kind of the B-side stuff. But we're signed with Shrapnel Records. We've got 2 original records out, and they're very 70s based. So it's a very hard rock band. It's a very 70s hard rock band.
See, I've had this
We're having a ball.
conversation, and my people know what hard rock is. I've had a long talk about hard rock versus metal, and that when Zeppelin came out and when Sabbath came out, it wasn't metal. The word metal
Didn't exist at
Didn't
that point.
exist. It
Right.
was hard rock.
Right.
And this is very interesting. And I don't know if you know this. Because I'm older than you. And where are we going there?
5
Go
minutes.
there.
5 minutes.
I'm the original. I'm OG. But the term metal, and the term punk for that matter, were negative terms given by critics in a condescending way, and bands didn't like it.
I like that you just use the word condescending.
Oh, you're so condescending.
Right.
I used it in a song.
Right. We don't use that word enough. Thank
Yes,
you.
we don't.
Condescending is
But
great.
so bands were branded heavy metal, but it was a derogatory term.
Right.
Derogatory.
Right.
Break out the
Another good
funkin'
term.
Wagnalls. Okay. And
People are looking this up right now.
and people didn't in the beginning. Bands didn't want to be known as metal. And this went for punk as well. I saw a thing where Iggy Pop is saying when somebody refers to him as punk, and he says this is back in the '70s. He goes, "We're not punk." It's not punk. Punk was a negative term, and bands didn't want to be called punk bands.
Right.
But slowly, hair metal, all these terms. There's always this branding. It comes from the critics, by the way.
Right.
And
I was going to say, it comes from a place of hate.
They label you a derogatory term, but eventually, hey, that's where sick motherfuckers came from. Twisted Sister, that was something people called us as a derogatory term.
Right.
You guys are sick motherfuckers. Like,
Right.
But it was not like a good thing. It was like, you're an asshole. Like, and then I one day said on stage, you know what? So we're sick motherfuckers. That means what you are is not a sick motherfucker. Well, then I am a sick motherfucker.
Right.
And the crowd went wild. I said, you're all sick motherfuckers. And that became the thing. So it's always somebody like putting you down.
Right.
But then you take it and you make it
Right.
a statement of pride.
Right.
So now metal is like a good thing. But you say hard rock. That was heavy metal. So
Well, that's us.
do you
We're
play
a hard rock
Zeppelin?
band. Absolutely, we
Yeah.
play Zeppelin. I mean, when you come to Count 77 show, we're going to give you our originals off of our records. But we're gonna pepper in throughout the show. We're gonna pepper in all kind of the huge '70s big hard rock songs that you know and love along the way. So it's a party. It's an absolute blast. And what people don't know about me is that was the first thing in my life. I grew up in music. I'm a singer. I grew up singing. I grew up singing gospel, Southern gospel, black gospel. That's where I came from.
Choir boy myself.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So from there, it's always been there, and so now people are getting to know it. My band, Count 77, we've been together for 9 years now. 2 records out, writing the 3rd one right now.
How long has the show been on?
We are on season 9 as we speak.
So there's a pretty the season 9 years because things
No,
are
it's not
weird now with
necessarily 9
seasons
years.
now.
Right,
yeah.
right. It's more like almost 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 seasons. Yeah.
So all right. So getting back to the road that get you where you're going. So you're doing custom bikes.
Yeah.
You're building a name.
Yes.
Everybody out here knows your counts. You're starting to get a national name. How does the show come across your doorstep? Or did you come to them with the show?
It changes your world. I had always been a guest on other people's shows.
Oh, right. That's
You
right.
remember this from the motorcycle
But you're
days,
Pawn
man.
Stars.
Well, absolutely.
That's where
But
you were one of their.
even further back.
See, I'm not a Pawn Stars guy. Sky, sorry, but I know you were one of those. You know what? Who we got to talk to about this? Danny.
Let's go
Danny.
back in time.
Let's go to Danny.
Let's even go further back.
Okay.
The bike rallies, all the big bike rallies, the Long Beach, the calendar show, the LA calendar show with the motorcycles and
Yeah.
stuff. I think it's the first time we ever shook hands, even though we really didn't know each other.
Yeah.
Was back in those days. I would be invited on television shows as a guest talking about our motorcycles. We were getting a lot of publicity in magazines and things like this and being on other shows. So it was growing.
This is during the motorcycle heyday.
Absolutely.
Of the
Company was
American
growing,
Chopper.
right,
and
all that
yeah,
stuff.
West Coast Chopper,
Things
yeah.
were going wonderful. Fast forward. The company's growing in the backgrounds. Things are great in magazines, all this kind of stuff. So I'm getting a lot of good business. It's great. Fast forward. The gentleman from Pawn Stars. I've known them forever. One of Rick's brothers is a gentleman that I've been riding with for years and years.
Interjection. Are you a native of Las Vegas?
No, I actually was born just south of Cleveland, raised between Cleveland and Detroit are the 2 cities I grew up in.
2 good rock cities, by the way.
Amen.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 cities I grew up in. And I've been in Vegas twice. First time was I came out in 78, left in 82. I've been back since 88.
Okay, so you've been here a while. Okay, I was just curious.
I got a lot of
So
years
It's
invested
very
in this
rare
town.
you find like a native around here. Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah.
So I've known the Harrison family forever, and Rick says to me one day, he's like, I take in a lot of cars. I need somebody else to work on my stuff so I can sell it. And because the guy he was working with, I guess it wasn't working too well. So I'm like, absolutely, thank you, I'm honored. I was taking the business. So I'd taken his business just as business, and one day the producers of the show say, we should shoot a scene down there of you having this car done. And so they were shooting a scene down here, and probably a week later, I get a phone call from a producer in an edit bay in New York that says, I want to come out and talk to you. And I'm like, okay, what do you talk about? And you want to talk about doing a show. So
all right, now wait a minute.
That's
on that occasion, which of your core guys were working here already?
Oh, gosh, there were 11 of us. There's now
was Ryan
like
here?
40 of us.
But was Ryan here?
Yes. Let me tell you, my core group was myself, Ryan, Shannon, and
What about Mike?
No
Horny Mike?
not at that point.
Your brother. Was your brother around?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But then the second it happened, Mike joined the team. So Mike has been here from the beginning of the show.
I'm just trying to imagine they
but
came
not
in
from the beginning
and
of
what
Counts
energies
Customs.
and what, because I know you guys, and what personalities were in.
Well, we had to grow fast. We had to grow fast to keep up with it.
Yeah, but still, the producer came in and he saw you, Shannon, Ryan.
Right.
That's some core people interacting.
Right. Kevin.
You know, Kevin. So
Absolutely.
So they saw that the relationships were there.
Right.
And then throw freaking Horny Mike in the mix. It's like a hand grenade.
He was arguably the first addition to the team once things started growing. And,
how'd you find him? Where do you find you?
Honestly, Mike was a guy who was airbrushing T-shirts down on Fremont Street on the weekends.
Oh shit!
But he had so much talent; it was undeniable. And so Ryan in the paint shop gave him a shot at doing some stuff, and Mike has proven himself a gazillion times over. I love him.
Owes his career to Ryan.
I pick on Mike constantly. I pick on him constantly, but it's because I love him. People think, why you got Mike there? He's a pain in the butt. No, Mike is a brother. I absolutely love him, and he's so talented. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I want to give people a little. One of the things that people ask me all the time is, "What's Danny really like?"
He's an asshole.
I say that. I say that.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
So some people like, okay, because I know people. It's funny that when you know people, they like Howard Stern. They come to me and say, "What's Howard really like?"
Yeah.
And I say, "Howard's exactly the same as he is on the air, except off the air, the world's half full. On the air, the world's half empty." Like when you talk to him, I haven't heard of his new show in a while, but when you would hang with him, he'd be totally positive. Everything was great.
Yeah.
And then, but the minute he goes on the air, he flicks a switch and looks through a cynic's
Takes the
eyes
cynical side.
and just tears it. So that's the difference between.
Well, that's good radio, though, man.
Well,
You know
no,
what
but I'm saying,
I mean,
people say,
he's doing
"What's
his
he
thing."
like?" And I say,
Absolutely.
"That's what he's like. Same guy,
Right.
but half full
Right.
instead of half empty."
But see, I heard though
yeah.
that Howard does not like the Doors. And I'm really upset about that.
The Doors?
I love the Doors.
The band The Doors?
Yes. I personally
I
love the
seem
Doors.
to remember him.
And I heard Howard does not like the Doors.
Yeah.
And that upsets me. Because,
One thing we've learned on Howard's is that his taste in music has zero effect on record sales.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I've gone on
All
there,
right.
and he has sworn. I mean, everybody.
But I just want to sit down and talk to him about it so that I can explain to him why the Doors are so magnificent.
you're that hardcore.
I'm that confident, man.
You're that hardcore.
Absolutely.
All right.
I believe I could convince Howard.
I want to
that
finish
the
the
Doors
question.
are magnificent.
What is Danny Koker like off the air? He is exactly the same person. The whole crew are exactly the same, and that's the highest praise because you come across as he seems so cool and genuine and honest and blah blah blah. And I said, they turn the camera off. It's the same guy. On and off camera. So I don't know what happens when he goes home and his poor wife, she goes like, I'm done being a nice guy. Get in the harness.
She's amazing.
Yeah, they have to be.
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, but this is no shape shifting here. This is the guy you always see.
You're too kind. I appreciate that. It's only because I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to do the things that I love, and the good Lord has blessed me to be able to pay the bills and hire great people. And they can pay their bills, so I'm just blessed. I'm a blessed man. And
I'm gonna get back to
hang out with amazing people like Dee Snider.
He's very appreciative. You got so many great people coming through here, and that's very nice. All right, I'm gonna tell you a door story that you may not know.
Okay.
Told to me by Grace Slick.
Oh wow. Okay, this is going to be deep.
Yes.
Okay.
Grace, the Jefferson Airplane, toured with the Doors extensively back in the day.
Yeah.
So she says one day she's in her dressing room, and and Jim is literally just unconscious on the floor. But I mean, he was always in a state, but he's unconscious. And she goes, "Oh wow, band's got to go on," and she hears the band start up, and she's like, "Jim's trying to wake him up. The band is going into the first song," and then she hears Jim singing, and Jim's laying on the floor, and she hears Jim singing, and she goes, "What the?"
Get him out there.
So she's like, "What the fuck?" She goes running out, and it's Krieger. He did a perfect Jim impersonation.
That's cool.
And he would fill in when even when Jim was on stage and would like wander off mic. He really woman. He would keep. Not I said Robbie. I meant
Ray Manzarek.
Ray Manzarek, not Robbie. Ray.
I'm
sorry. It was Ray. And so he'd just be on the mic, go, "Really, woman?"
Oh my gosh!
And he'd just fill in the blanks. The show must go on.
Good.
But she said nothing more surprising than hearing the unconscious vocalist in your dressing room singing in the hall.
Give it to me straight. Doors, yay or nay?
Oh, I love the Doors.
Amen.
I love the Doors.
Amen.
I love the Doors, and are they are they
technically the best band in the world?
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying. But I was Zeppelin. They're not like on my hierarchy of bands because
I like how you brought up Zeppelin. That could be the greatest band in the world.
Could. Is actually a question mark in there?
Well, okay, good.
It's why they are the biggest band in the world.
Make sure I tiptoe across this properly.
Well, that's why the biggest band. Is because every one of the members of that band is an incredible player.
Agreed.
Everybody.
Agreed.
Everyone's a god.
Everyone.
It's not like, oh, the guitar player's amazing. And bands that show on names is solid players.
And they were so minimalistic to pull that off. It was amazing. They are that great.
Each guy was a virtuoso.
Yep.
So and this is interesting. The guy who signed, there's a little bit of smoke blowing up my own ass here, but it's an interesting story because the guy who signed my band, Twisted Sister, is Phil Carson. He's my manager now.
Yes.
He also signed ABBA. He signed AC/DC. He signed Yes. Wow. He signed Genesis. He signed Foreigner, and on and on.
He's kind of had a tough road.
Yeah,
in his career.
he's responsible for about 375 million albums sold. Okay. And he worked with Zeppelin day one on the road. Like he was the record company liaison. He didn't sign Zeppelin, but he was liaison from album one. And on the first tour, he was a bass player. He played bass for Dusty Springfield.
Yes.
And so the band only had one album. They'd run out of stuff, and people wanted more encores. John Paul Jones played keyboards, and they would do 50 songs like 20 Flight Rock and stuff, and Phil would play bass.
Yeah.
On YouTube, you can see Phil playing bass with Led Zeppelin.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, but he said, whenever I signed a band, there had to be a virtuoso in the band.
Yes.
And he said, in the case of Led Zeppelin, 4 virtuosos.
Yeah.
You couldn't go wrong.
It was everybody.
John Paul Jones, John Bonham, Jimmy Page, and Robert Plant.
Yeah.
Each a virtuoso on his own right.
Agreed.
It wasn't just a couple of guys in that band.
Agreed.
So you're supposed to say,
greatest.
So who was the virtuoso in Twisted Sister?
Oh, dude, that's huge.
You're supposed to add.
It's Dee Snider, man.
He was actually challenged about signing Twisted Sister by the president of Atlantic Records, and he says, "You say you signed? Who's the virtuoso in Twisted Sister?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Dee Snider has virtuoso charisma."
I love it.
And he says,
"You do."
So that's why he signed Twisted Sister, because I had virtuoso charisma.
You do actually. I agree with him on that.
Well, be that as it may. Okay, here's one for you. Is this music? I didn't see that. I just have I talk a lot myself. I just have conversation with myself. It's good to have a conversation with somebody.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So
you can always come
Lemmy
talk to me.
Kilmister. Ever meet him?
Lemmy? God, I only wish. I could have shaken his
He is just, and this guy was rock.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, he lived it.
He lived it
on and off. That was him.
And then you go before he was in Motorhead, then Hawkwind. I mean, Motorhead, Hawkwind. Before that, he crewed for Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
He was at the Cavern Club for the Beatles.
Yeah.
At the Marquee for the Stones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know the nickname Lemmy. Lemmy this.
Yes.
Lemmy that.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
So I got to and we became really good friends, and so I got to talk to him about God. I mean, I said, so you saw the Beatles at the Cavern Club, you saw the Stones at the Marquee. They got fired from the Marquee. They were actually fired, the Stones.
Wow.
And I said, who's the better rock band?
From Lemmy.
From Lemmy.
Okay.
What do you think? Who do you think he said?
I couldn't even.
I would think he would say Stones because they were dirty and grungy.
Right.
Beatles, hands down.
Really?
He said the fucking Beatles live.
Really?
Now he's seeing them in the Cavern Club. They played hundreds of shows there.
Right.
He said they were the greatest rock band and funny as fuck. Like in between,
Really?
They would do shtick.
Yeah.
Because they were like polished.
Right.
He said the Stones. He says the Stones are the best Stones in the world.
Got it.
Like I don't
Got
think
it.
you can hand the Stones like a Zeppelin song or a Van Halen song, and they would like tear it up.
Right.
They can play the Stones.
Right.
You know, and it's what
Gotcha.
they do. And he says, and they're kind of a slop rock.
Yeah.
You know, you get them on the good night, and
Yeah.
it's really happening. He says the Beatles
They gave it up.
destroy the Stones.
Really?
And that was, and I said, well, if it was anybody else, I would actually wonder about that. 'cause
That's cool.
I don't know. The Beatles, I don't never think of them as like a live band. A lot
Right.
of screaming.
Right.
You know, they had a lot of great albums. They stopped touring.
Right.
I think, what is it, Revolver or earlier than that? Like,
yeah.
they just stopped touring and just started putting out records.
Right.
But the Beatles, hands
Have
down.
you got a favorite Beatle?
In their heyday. A favorite Beatle?
Yeah.
I'm an underdog guy.
I'm so with you right now.
I was a Ringo guy. I always
Oh, I wasn't that far with you.
You're George?
Yes, I'm a George.
George.
Absolutely.
Well, he's an underdog too.
Yeah.
But I was Ringo. I had the big nose too. So, you know, so I actually didn't have a big nose at 8 years old.
How about
it's just,
Badfinger?
It's just Badfinger?
Yes.
I don't.
Speaking of George. 'Cause
Well, I
George
don't.
produced them.
Yeah, I don't. Didn't Paul write a song for them or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't. No, I'm not a big Badfinger
Not a big
fan.
fan.
But I like the songs.
Big Badfinger.
But I don't know the guys.
They're phenomenal. Well, tragic story, but phenomenal players.
Are
Great
you?
guys.
Wait a minute. Okay. Is
Yeah.
that the band that wrote the song that Harry Nilsson recorded and they committed suicide like a year apart from each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very hardcore story, but what an amazing group of guys.
Yeah. What was that song? Was I Can't Live?
Yes.
And
But
I thought
that was the other cat you just mentioned.
Harry Nilsson.
Yes, Harry
But
got the hit.
he got the
off
hit,
that,
but it was
right.
their song.
Correct.
But I thought that he had stolen it from them. But when I researched it, it seemed like he covered it and had a big hit, but that didn't sit right with them.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a whole lot of weirdness right there.
Yeah, they
But we
never
lost some
recovered
great
from
guys.
Yeah.
They were very talented.
Incredibly
But that was a
talented.
George Harrison thing. George Harrison did a lot of producing with Badfinger.
Yeah, well, I love that George, like, sort of post Beatles,
Yeah.
got recognized.
Right.
Once they took the sort of restraints off of him,
Right.
Just for the amazing songwriter he is. I mean, I
But
think
all of them were
something
fantastic.
is like the most covered song of all
Yeah.
the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Apparently, something like that.
Right, right.
So I've heard that. All right,
Yeah.
back to you. I got to know.
I keep making left turns, don't
It's all right. I love that. That's a conversation, but I remember how to get back. I leave a trail of crumbs.
Well, lefts will keep
breadcrumbs.
coming around.
Yes, you keep making a left,
Right,
and you're
right.
back where you
It's like
started.
NASCAR.
You got to make a right to leave. When we make a right, the show's over. We're just actually.
We'll go that way.
We're actually out of here. So, Tony Robbins. You know who Tony Robbins is?
I do.
I am a Tony Robbins guy.
Are you really?
Later in life, I
So you're an
really
inspirational guy.
Yeah. Well, I needed some. It was after the demise of Twisted. I'd lost everything. I was trying to find my way back, and with the help of Tony Robbins, because I just went into radio and TV and writing and screenplays
Right.
and all that stuff. So
Right.
it was very motivational. I highly recommend it, but I'm not going there. But one thing he said
cool.
was, success leaves clues. He says success leaves clues.
Very
He
nice.
says, and he says, let's take a video game, for example. He says, you can walk up to, back when they had video games, you can walk up and you put the quarters in. He says, you can walk up with a whole pile of quarters and figure the game out, or you can stand and watch somebody playing for a while and learn the basics and learn the tricks.
Here's your clues.
And then jump in and pick up where so success leaves clues. So I try to share success with people.
Nice.
Would you say that your career, you say you're lucky and you're blessed, and so am I, but is it just luck?
No. I will give credit. I'll give credit where credit is due. My father was an amazing human being, and he taught me very good business sense, and he taught me how to be right with people, and that's the key. And then on top of that, surrounding yourself with good people. People are the key. You can buy the tools, you can get the equipment, whatever it may be, people are the key. So you also have to have great people. And then as the owner of a company or as the head of a company, whatever it may be, you have to make sure you treat those people right. So it's a team effort and it's with people. Yes, I'm fortunate. Yes, I'm blessed. But I feel like I was given some tools to work with, and I give my father credit for
this is actually really huge.
Yeah.
I mean, and people should see, because I didn't do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I wasn't appreciative of the people around me.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught those lessons. My father, and I love him, and we've patched things up.
Amen.
But
That's important.
He was a father in the "We're Not Going to Take It" video. I mean, he inspired me, but it out of anger and frustration, and I'll show you, and that kind of thing. It was sort of the negative. So he affected me, but it was negatively. He didn't. Your father taught you some valuable lessons.
He did, and he always made me work for things. He gave me opportunities, but he didn't give me things.
But by employing those lessons along the way,
right?
That's you've had opportunities, but you've always been. You've known what your father told you.
Yes.
You've employed these lessons, and it's maximized the opportunities that came your way,
yes. And he
continue
lived his life that way. So it wasn't just the things that he told me or tried to teach me. He lived his life that way. So
I would say I learned more from my parents' actions. Like my father's was with my mother to her dying day, 70 years.
Yeah.
And I'm with my wife 43 years.
Yeah.
And he, took care of the family. And I learned.
Your wife's only 38?
Yeah, she was a fetus when I met her.
Exactly.
She was a fetus, a beautiful fetus. I saw her. It was one of those sonograms. I was like, God, look at the set on that baby.
I saw her in a sonogram. There's the next song. I saw her in a sonogram.
So, how did we get there?
I don't.
I was talking about. Oh, but what you said about not just what your father told you, his actions,
Yes.
and those are the things that my father really. I learned from him because he was hammering me with shit, and that stuff I rejected. But the stuff I saw him do, that's the stuff I really learned from. So he not just words with Dad; it was actions.
There you go. So there's a lot to be said for. I love my mother still tells me, and my father used to tell me, always remember where you came from, and that's the key, man. And is staying grounded, like you were talking about earlier. That's the key. Having good people in your world, that's the key. Taking care of those good people, that's the key. But the things my father instilled into me, I believe, are huge to where I'm at today. And I always give credit to the Lord above, because I'm not capable. I'm not capable. So I always tell people, if you see something good in me, that's the Lord. If you see something bad in me, that's just me being a human.
When did your dad pass?
February 8th. 2008 at 9:52 p.m. And to this day, I remember it every day.
Wow. I mean, that speaks volumes about your relationship with Dad, what he meant to you.
Best friend of my life. My mentor,
I was always jealous of guys like you, and I love my dad. And he was a tough guy. And it was tough love.
Yeah.
And actually, since the passing of my mom, we have really. She passed about a year and a half ago, and we've really gotten really close, and I love him dearly. And as a matter of fact, for all the tough love and stuff that I hated him so much for, this past Father's Day, I thanked him. I thanked him for how tough he was, because I'm happy with who I am, and I wouldn't be who I am if he hadn't been that way. I like to think he could have done it in a nicer way, like your dad, but it
never know where they were at their life at that time.
Exactly. And I know some of the things, and I do know some of the things, and where he'd been and the path he'd been on. But when AJ Pirro, the late AJ Pirro, his father he had the father I dreamed of. So supportive of his career.
Yeah.
Used to roadie for him when he was first starting out and carry his gear, and just was so proud of his son, and was just helped him to be the greatest drummer, to be the best drummer he could be.
Yeah.
And I say, AJ, I say it with love, how jealous I am.
Yeah.
I see as his dad passed. His dad, it was a tough year, 84. Twisted Sister finally breaks.
Yeah.
And AJ and JJ both lose their dads.
That's rough.
JJ managed to get a a platinum album. The album was going to go platinum the next week. His father was going to pass, and the sales were there, and he said, could you please make a platinum album for my dad? Wow. And he says, it's going to be platinum next week. It's a technicality. They contacted the Recording Institute. They said, no problem, and they made a platinum record. Beautiful. And he went to his father's bedside in the hospital on his dying days, and his father, who had been very supportive of his son's dreams as well, saw that physical manifestation is a word.
I'm going to get preachy. For just a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to get preachy for just a minute, but I believe in things like this, man. So you never know. The Lord does work in mysterious ways. We've always said that. So in my opinion, this is my disclaimer across the pond, and Danny Koker's opinion, you never know what the Lord had in plan for that gentleman's father, who may have very well been helping from above. Because in my position, sometimes I look around and I think to myself, the bittersweetness of all of the great things that have happened for me that I'm so grateful for, the bittersweetness is that my father is not here to see this and be a part of it and sharing it with me, because he helped me get to this point. But then there's another part of me that believes that he is, and there's another part of me that believes that he's helping me from upstairs. So you never really know how the Lord works.
Well, that's why I asked about the year 2008. You had that. Well, that's 10 years ago now.
Yes.
But you had a career. You were making a name for yourself.
It was taken off.
Yeah. I mean, you were doing it for a living, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You were getting to do what you wanted, your dream of making bikes. You had a shop.
100%.
So you got to see some of it. And that's cool.
100%.
Well, my wife's very spiritual.
Amen.
And she says that from her studies and learning is that we are all sent here for a purpose.
I believe that.
We have a reason we're here.
I believe that.
And she believes that when people pass at a younger age, what their purpose has been done. And we don't. And people say, "What's the purpose of a baby who dies? In the crib, a crib death?"
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with it. She would say it may have inspired something in the parents. It may have brought something. It brought some people together. He says, you don't know what their great purpose was.
Someday we'll be able to talk to the Lord and ask these questions.
Yeah, and and look at AJ's dad, who was so supportive of AJ, and his son crossed the finish line, so to speak, and he passed away. He got to see it though, and maybe his work was done. I mean, AJ would have loved to have his dad for 20 more years, but we don't know the grand scheme of things, what's going on, what the big plan is.
We're not capable of understanding the big
and what
plan.
it brings out in us as people as well. Yeah. My mom passed away a year and a half ago. I have 5 siblings. It was really a tragic passing, actually. Super healthy woman.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman was going to go. Her parents were in their 90s. She was an artist, an art teacher. She was just active driving. She was 100%. She was going the distance, and doing her weekly charity work with the church. Crossing a street, she got hit by a car, brain damaged, vegetable, died a few months later. Okay, she died. Oddly, me and my siblings, but me and my siblings were not on speaking terms. None of my siblings.
Right.
And upon arriving at the hospital, the 6 of us, and while the mother laying there, we just stopped. We just stopped.
She brought it together.
And it wasn't coming together, man. I don't know if it said, is it going to call for a really insane gesture on somebody's part, maybe him up there or whatever, but that was the moment where we buried every hatchet. We don't talk about it. We let it go. And I think she was conscious. She saw us all in the room around her bedside together, hugging each other, smiling together. But it took something that insane to get us to behave. And I'm sorry, Mom. I felt like, I get teary thinking about it. I'm glad I'm wearing glasses right now because I'm feeling like I made her go that far to get us to fucking snap the fuck out of it.
There's going to be a day though you get to hug her and kiss her and thank her in person.
Yeah, maybe so.
Amen.
Yeah,
I agree.
So this is not a good way to end.
Wow, man, we went down a whole new path. But I like this path because it's a real path.
Yeah, well that's it. Our real conversations.
What's coming up for Dee Snider?
What's coming up? Fuck you. You're on my show. What's coming up for Danny Koker?
You like that?
Season 17.
Come on, man. Come on, man. What's coming up for me is I'm building cars. I'm building bikes. I'm rocking and rolling. I'll be in a city near you. Keep watching what we're doing. And I'm hanging out with cool cats like Dee Snider.
Okay, what's coming up for me? I got to find something else for Danny to work on because, oh, dude, I don't know if I want to tell you on the air. When we get off the air, I'll tell you this because if I ever get this going, I want to tell you. I remember I told you I told you a big plan. I told you the plan.
Yes.
Yeah. In the 11th hour, the project got killed, and that would have been
frustrating.
That would have been insane.
That's frustrating, right?
To redo something like that.
Yes,
but I gotta buy something or find something so I can have it towed over here. Just a real basket case.
I'll take care of that. That's all fine and dandy. We all know that. But what we want to know is what's Dee up to in the near future.
Dee is up to it's summertime.
Amen.
And it's good time for the bones. Old rockers don't like to be out in the winter because our bones ache. So doing a lot of festivals for the love of metal is just taken on a life of its own. We're starting to work on songs for the next follow-up album, which will be fucking heavy. And so I'm going out and doing shows this summer, so it's all good.
Watch for that.
Yeah, watch for that.
Your way.
Watch.
I'm coming your
Counting
way
Cars,
too.
Yeah, and when
Count 77 coming your way. Counting Cars is coming your way. Counts Customs coming your way. All kinds of stuff. When
you're in town, you want to go to Vamped.
Come to Vamped.
You want to go to the club.
Yeah.
You can eat food there as well.
Absolutely.
It's like, I know
Eat, drink, rock. Boom.
Eat, drink, rock.
That's it.
And fuck, but that's in your own time. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to I Want to Talk. See you next time. Bye. Exit right. Me and my siblings were not on speaking terms. None of my siblings.
Right.
And upon arriving at the hospital, the 6 of us, and while the mother laying there, we just stopped. We just stopped.
She brought it together.
And it wasn't coming together, man. I don't know if it said, is it going to call for a really insane gesture on somebody's part, maybe him up there or whatever. But that was the moment where we buried every hatchet. We don't talk about it. We let it go. And I think she was conscious. She saw us all in the room around her bedside together, hugging each other, smiling together. But it took something that insane to get us to behave. And I'm sorry, Mom. I felt like, I get teary thinking about it. I'm glad I'm wearing glasses right now because I'm feeling like I made her go that far to get us to fucking snap the fuck out of it.
There's going to be a day though you get to hug her and kiss her and thank her in person.
Yeah, maybe so.
Amen.
Yeah,
I agree.
So this is not a good way to end.
Wow, man, we went down a whole new path. I really, but I like this path because it's a real path.
Yeah, well, that's it. Real conversations.
What's coming up for Dee Snider?
What's coming up? Fuck you. You're on my show. What's coming up for Danny Koker?
You like that?
Season 17?
Come on, man. Come on, man. What's coming up for me is I'm building cars. I'm building bikes. I'm rocking and rolling. I'll be in a city near you. Keep watching what we're doing. And I'm hanging out with cool cats like Dee Snider.
Okay, what's coming up for me? I got to find something else for Danny to work on because, oh, dude, I don't know if I want to tell you on the air. When we get off the air, I'll tell you this because if I ever get this going, I want to tell you. I remember I told you I told you a big plan. I told you the plan.
Yes.
Yeah. In the 11th hour, the project got killed, and that would have been
frustrating.
That would have been insane.
That's frustrating, right?
To redo something like that.
Yes,
but I gotta buy something or find something so I can have it towed over here. Just a real basket case.
I'll take care of that. That's all fine and dandy. We all know that. But what we want to know is what's Dee up to in the near future.
Dee is up to it's summertime.
Amen.
And it's good time for the bones. Old rockers don't like to be out in the winter because our bones ache. So doing a lot of festivals for the love of metal is just taken on a life of its own. We're starting to work on songs for the next follow-up album, which will be fucking heavy. And so I'm going out and doing shows this summer, so it's all good.
Watch for that.
Yeah, watch for that.
Your way.
Watch.
I'm coming your way
Counting Cars,
too.
yeah. And when
Count 77 coming your way. Counting Cars is coming your way. Counts Customs coming your way. All kinds of stuff. When
you're in town, you want to go to Vamped.
Come to Vamped.
You want to go to the club.
Yeah.
You can eat food there as well.
Absolutely.
It's like, I know
Eat, drink, rock. Boom.
Eat, drink, rock.
That's it.
And fuck, but that's in your own time. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to
Love
I
you
Want
guys.
to Talk. See you next time. Bye. Exit right.